Hey everybody. Okay, today in this video I'm going to walk through how I would draw Anakin Skywalker, and I'm going to kind of base this off of his look from the Clone Wars animated series. Alright, so first I'm going to start with a circle for the head like I do all my drawings really, unless there's certain circumstances where I need to start with a hand or a foot or something. Put the circle in. I'm going to have him bring the neck down. Now I'm going to have his body kind of turned the opposite way of his head. So first I'm going to put this line in to where the chest is going to come down to kind of set up the rest of the upper body, the lines I'm going to follow. So here I'm going to come in with the rib cage down to the waist. Now this is all just outlining like the basic parts of like the upper body and everything. Of course, when I add the details, I'm going to start adding the clothes and everything. So this is kind of just going to be in the background really. All right, so now this kind of be where I'm going to put his belt. I'm going to come down and put the crotch area in so we can start working on the legs. And I'm going to do the legs first here instead of the arms. Alright, so here I'm going to draw, this is kind of going to be coming to this point, so this way we're going to draw the line that way, and then at this point I'm going to draw the opposite direction. It's the same kind of stroke, but going the opposite way from that point down to the knee. So there's like the upper leg, the thigh, and I'm going to draw this is where his knee is going to be. I'm going to draw this line down for the boot. That's where his foot's going to come down over on this leg. Then over here, the other leg, this one's going to be kind of coming a little bit closer to you. So it's going to be a little bit thicker than this one. This is kind of the point on this side. Maybe a little higher on this side, right about here, to where I switch to go the different direction. And come down to the knee. I'm going to put this line in here to line up where I'm going to bring the boot down. And this foot is going to be pointing forward, so we'll do this little arch shape for like the top of the foot where it comes up to your shin. I'm going to do the rest of the boot. And also, since this is not a superhero, and he's kind of has a little bit more detail in his like boots and the costume and stuff, which sometimes superhero costumes are like that, but I don't typically draw them like that. I draw them almost like the classic, how they look like they're almost painted on kind of style. So I'm going to do a little more detail on this though, because they're not painted on boots or anything like that, so it'll be a little different than a normal drawing I'd do. Okay, so now we have those, and I went ahead and put a little bit of detail on the boots, but now I'm going to throw in the arms, and I'm going to start with his back arm first. And so I'm going to have him holding his lightsaber with two hands. So I'm going to show you like how I build up to that, since it's kind of, you're not going to be able to see all the arms. So I'm going to draw this part right here, which is going to be the upper arm. And then I'm going to put a circle here for where the forearm would be, where it's kind of coming out, and put a little block in for where the hand's going to go. And while I have this hand here, it's actually going to be a little skinnier and longer. But while I have this hand here, I'm going to go ahead and put the other one in too. And then I'm going to kind of back into where this hand's going to be, because I'm going to draw this arm, and this arm is going to look a little bit bigger because it's the front arm, and this one smaller because it's behind his hands. I'm going to draw this arm up to here, up to his shoulder. So this is kind of backing into where that arm's going to be, but it makes sense to me to do it that way, because it's kind of like putting together the puzzle. Like, I've drawn the hand in, so now I'm going to connect to the elbow, and then the elbow connects to the shoulder or the upper arm. So it's kind of like a little puzzle I'm putting together. So now I've kind of got the form the way that I want it, and next I'm going to start putting in details. So I'm going to start putting in a little costume detail with like his robe and everything that he wears. So that's kind of, you're going to kind of see some of the back side of that, and it's going to hang over his shoulder. Same with this shoulder. It's going to kind of cover that up. And I'm going to start getting a little darker as I'm getting into the detail too, so like you'll be able to see it better as opposed to all these underlines where I was showing you the form. Alright, so still working on his robe, bringing it down to his belt right here. I'm going to put some pouches on there too. Just a little pouch here, made a little thing to carry his lightsaber on this side. Alright, so, and also like that top part of the robe, like part of it's going to hang off over the, cover this leg, and then part going to hang off and cover this leg over here. And then he's got that other layer underneath that kind of covers up the whole part, and you can kind of see some in the background too, from the back side of it. So like now this is really just all covered and you can't really see underneath. So when you're going on later after you finish doing all the pencil detail and you ink it, you're not going to ink the basic form like coming down to the crotch and all that, because all that's going to end up being covered up. But I drew that way to show you guys how I'm going to construct the figure so you can understand the proportions and everything and how I get to be at that certain spot. You have to understand how you're constructing it to really understand how it works. It makes a whole lot more sense if you can build it up that way. And then later on, when you get more comfortable drawing certain things, you can use shortcuts and you don't have to do all the underdrawing if you don't want to, especially with things that you're like really familiar with. But it's good to learn that way so you can follow it when you see other artists work. You can kind of understand what they're doing. And that's beneficial for you to learn if you can understand what they're doing. Kind of makes more sense. So that's his gloves. All right, now I'm going to put his face in there. Before I do that though, I'm going to sharpen up my pencil a little bit so I can get a little bit smaller details. Okay, so I'm going to do one eyebrow on this side first, how I normally would do that. Put the other one in there. I'm going to go ahead and place an ear here too. You're not going to be able to see the whole ear because I'm going to have his hair covering up some of it. I'm going to go ahead and place it there to help with lining everything up. Put the nose in there. Don't add too much details on these small things because the less lines in these smaller areas, the less lines the better. Because if you start adding too many lines, it's going to get a little too crazy and the details are going to kind of overwhelm it and it's not going to look very good. So just keep smaller, simpler lines for stuff like that. Alright, now let's get into the hair. Hair can be kind of tricky. I like to do kind of flowing stuff like this though. And so one of the tips I can give about hair, I'm not super good at it or anything, but you want to draw it in chunks. So like this part right here is really like a shape like this. And you just add some lines in to add some detail, but you really kind of can study like cartoon hair and stuff like that, and shows you how it gets broken down into pieces. It makes it easier to kind of break it down that way. At least that's the way I find it. Like you break it into sections. Alright. So now we've basically got Anakin here. Kind of came down a little too slender for part of it, but let's throw in some more for the lightsaber. It's going to be kind of coming off the page though. But there you have it. If you enjoyed watching this, guys, and you want to see some more of this stuff, different characters, let me know in the comments what other characters you'd like to see. And also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get notified when I post new videos. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys next time.